everybody. Hello. And welcome back to Brokenness Meets Grace. We are together again on another installment of our identity series, and we're so excited to have another guest with us today. Welcome, Gloria.
Thank you. The beautiful Gloria.
She brought lamb to the show, guys.
She really did.
She brought lamb to the show. Waited us today.
No, man.
Gloria, please introduce yourself to the people.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Gloria Finn. I'm originally from KZN, Umlazi. I'm a township girl. Hello. I'm 31 years old and I'm a mother of two.
What's
Yes.
up?
Thank you
Welcome
so
to the
much.
show. Welcome to the show. So as we said, we are continuing with our identity series, and we're so excited because it's been such a lovely encounter and experience to talk about some of the things that we've spoken about with our previous guests, and to have the series really stretch out as long as it did. It just highlights just how important it is of a topic, around identity and what makes us who we are, and of course how being broken and God's grace putting it all together.
Exactly.
Okay, so without further ado, let's get into it. So today we're going to be talking about identity and failure, or rather how failure marks our transition through life, and what sort of identity we attach to our failures, how do we end up seeing ourselves, and of course what is the grace that holds it all together. Okay, so without further ado, Gloria, thank you so much for being a part of the show. So I met Gloria at an event that we were invited to for the foundation, and I heard her testimony, and I was moved by it, and I just thought we have to have her on the show. And we're going to talk a lot about that today in relation to today's topic. So I just wanted to find out, what would you describe as your greatest failure?
Wow. I think my greatest failure was not believing in myself and not digging deep enough within me at the time. I mean, my greatest failure happened at the time where there were certain social norms that I had to live up to, expectations as well that I had to live up to. So because I failed to live up to that, at that moment I felt like that was my greatest failure. Exactly. At the moment I felt like that is it. I failed to go to school like my peers, after matric I had a bursary, so I failed to honor that bursary because I felt pregnant. I also felt like my greatest fear at the time was the fact that I disappointed my parents. They had so much faith in me. The school was looking up to me. I was like this golden girl. Then all of a sudden, all of that just blew away because I was pregnant. But in retrospect, now I'm thinking that looking at everything that has transpired, I think my greatest failure at that moment was not believing in myself, that despite the fact that I find myself in this situation, but had I believed in myself, I feel like most of the challenges that I experienced during that period wouldn't have been as dire as they were if I just believed that, you know what, this is not a situation or situations that define who I am. It's just situations that I'm going through and I'm gonna come out of them. So I found myself being sucked into that and making that, assuming that as my identity, as who I am. So I think that's how I failed myself, that I failed to detach from the situation to say, this is Gloria who is currently going through this situation. So if the situation changes, it doesn't change Gloria. Gloria remains. So I think that was my greatest failure.
That's amazing. And I think that's one of the things that we struggle with a lot. In response to our mistakes, in response to the failures that we go through, is we attach ourselves to them.
Exactly.
And in that moment, I mean, I can just imagine. How old were you?
I was 18, turning 19.
So in matric. And I can just imagine
pivot for
a very, very important period in your life. And I can just imagine the judgment I can just imagine the pressure.
Exactly.
And I think the disappointment.
Look, the other thing that was happening at that moment, at that period, was the fact that we were teenagers, and then we had just completed matric, because I found out that I was pregnant when I was going to collect my what is this?
Matric certificate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's when I found out. So that's a period where we felt like we just made it out of school. It's varsity life. You know, the excitement of now going into the world and enjoying yourself and the independence, and then finding out that you didn't just gain independence, but then it is attached to a whole life.
Another completely
shape and groom.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So while you're still trying to figure out your own self, what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, what do I like, what kind of boys do I like? So I felt at the moment that I'm robbed of that opportunity to explore those, because now I had to jump many steps to now assume the role of a mom. Of someone trying to guide someone through this world when I needed guidance myself. You understand? So hence I'm saying it goes back to me feeling like, in retrospect, I feel like it was just not believing in myself. I feel like that was my greatest failure
in that moment.
And how it's all rooted in identity.
Exactly.
You know, I think it's just so relevant, but it's always pointing down to identity. When you unpack the problem, the core problem is not knowing who you are.
Exactly.
You know, and attaching yourself to many different things.
And many different things.
And I mean, even in that moment, you assume a role that you've never experienced. But now you have to step into that role from the understanding of someone else. So who do people say a mother is? You know, how are you supposed to be a young mother? At that age, that's the thing. There's categories of mothers. I mean, there's young moms, there's teenage moms, there's
experienced moms.
Experience, you know what I mean? So it's this thing. Now you must still figure yourself out in the light of what everybody else says, and you're still a child. So your parents also are dictating to you.
And for some reason, the expectations are so dire. Like expectations are so intense that everyone expects you to have this whole thing figured out. And you are just trying to figure out yourself in the process. So I think I like the topic of expectations, because there was heavy pressure of the kind of mom that I'm supposed to be, you know. So there was an element of expectations and a lot of pressure, because now I am this, and because I failed at being a teenager and then being a student, now I really need to excel at being a mom.
And that's almost setting you up to fail.
Because no one is perfect. There is no book to parenting, there's no handbook.
Indefinitely.
That is great.
Sure.
And in a lot of ways, I think failure breeds like the fear of failure, which becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because if you go into anything with the anxiety that you're gonna suck at it, you will suck at it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? If you go into anything with the thoughts of thinking, I'm going to be terrible, I'm not ready, I'm this, I'm that.
Exactly.
Automatically that
you attract that.
You attract that. You know, so it was almost in a way like that period of your life was setting you up to fail even more. And I wonder if that isn't the case for a lot of teenage mothers, you know. I wonder if it isn't this thing, because I automatically failed, I disappointed so many people. This baby that's coming is getting a dud of a mother. You know, you're getting an inexperienced, wet behind the ear mother, and I'm just going to be terrible at it. And most of the time, that's what happens, you know.
And it carries into the child as well.
Exactly.
You know?
Precisely. And we just thank God that wasn't your story. And it just, it's amazing how everything happens for a reason, even the most difficult of circumstances. And sorry. You go.
You go. But also something that Gloria said about how that decision, a mistake, right? Of course, or what choice, led her to being a young mom, but changed the whole trajectory of her life, you know. And I'm bringing it to me from relatability in terms of failure. Okay, so my biggest failure in line with identity was the fact that I couldn't be an individual. right? I didn't have individuality.
Interesting.
You know, so for me, I always rode on the coattails of other people.
Oh.
That was how I found my identity. You know, I mean, I had a strong mom. I had a very vibrant sister and intelligent. And for me, I automatically just went into the background because two of the people that I'm surrounded with daily are so strong and are so dynamic. You know, I almost automatically kind of recoiled into myself, and I was like chasing a shadow basically because I was trying to live up to their expectations. And not that they were trying to make me feel that way, right? But it's how I received it. I internalized it. You know, and it carried into all of my spaces in school, you know, work, that I was always trying to be somebody else because I thought that who I wasn't enough. You know, and again, it points back to identity.
Exactly.
So I was trying to chase identity that wasn't mine, right? And wear it, but it was ill-fitting. And because of that, I feel like I wasted so many years of my life because I was running in the wrong direction all along. You know, I mean, I'm what, 31, I think?
You're 32 this year. Can someone please tell her that she's 32
I'm
this year?
32 in 3 months.
She doesn't want to accept that she's
I'm
getting
also 32 in December.
Hello, they don't know the principles of maths is that you round it up.
Exactly. December babies are always confused.
The end of the year, that's when
You know, in January, and then they tell you you're 33. Like,
No.
You still have a whole couple of months to go.
So yes, I feel like for me, because I was out here looking for somebody else's identity, I wasted so much time when I could have used that time to be myself, you know, and I missed opportunities, I missed, you know, a purpose and a path.
Exactly.
You know, I could have been a married mom by now, you understand? But that always was my boulder because I always thought that who I was in the package that I was in wasn't enough, you know, and it just highlights that for God made the loss of identity so detrimental to the time you have as an individual.
Exactly.
It could completely derail your life.
And you get so wrapped up in the wrong thing that you don't see the right thing, and or rather you don't work towards actually attaining the right thing because you're so trapped in this idea that I failed, and you get trapped in regret, trapped in so much woulda,
Exactly. I think the other thing that is most important for us to highlight is the fact that we're speaking about a very sensitive age here. We're speaking about adolescence. As much as we are getting into young adulthood stages, but I mean the core of that age, the period is adolescent. So it's characterized by seeking identity. By now you are leaving whatever teachings that you had at home and you're trying to seek your own identity. You're trying to dabble in a lot of things to figure yourself out. So I think structure as well plays a key role in shaping that. So once there's a lack in structure, you understand, and understanding a general understanding of the age and the dynamics that come with the age, then it becomes really difficult for the adults in your life to maneuver through that and to support you correctly to understand, because the characteristics of the age themselves, they come with a whole lot of conflicting dynamics. You're still trying to figure out a lot of things. So structure is so important, and I feel like that played a huge role in my upbringing because I come from a very staunch, I don't know if that's the correct word to use, Christian family, my mom. So I feel like with everything that happened, like that kind of structure is what shaped me to make the kind of decisions that I made to get myself out of that situation. Do you understand? Because I had that. Okay, my mom was not very flexible in terms of understanding the dynamics of, but she understood that I have a responsibility, and then she's going to prep me into understanding the responsibility that I have, what it entails, what does it come with. She was very patient with me when it comes to that, you understand? So I feel like as much as she didn't understand the hectic part of the age group, but she also understood that this is a very sensitive stage where structure needs to be introduced.
Absolutely. And that's so sad because so many young people who are in that position don't have that.
Exactly.
You know, and it's so true. The fact that a decision like that, who you're surrounded by, can be made, can make or break it.
Exactly.
You know, you need to be surrounded by people who can actually remind you that you're not your mistake.
Exactly.
You need to be surrounded by people who can actually encourage you. And tell you that you know what, there is life outside of this.
Exactly.
And in most instances, people who don't have that, it can be quite detrimental for them. You know, they can make horrible, you know, life-changing decisions that they wouldn't have made had they had the correct structure.
Exactly.
But it also derails the bounce back.
Yes.
Because I think all of us will
Yes,
make
of course.
mistakes, you know. But the structure plays such a pivotal role
Yes.
in helping you bounce back.
Yes.
Bounce back.
You know, because I don't think it's the end of the world. Yes,
Yeah.
you were a young mom, but your future was still attainable.
Exactly.
So your dreams, your aspirations could have still been attained, right?
Exactly.
But that structure, like you say, plays such an important role. If you don't really have supportive people at home, you made a mistake, but they are rallying behind you and they're trying to
Exactly.
get you back on track.
And that is exactly
You
what
know?
happened in my case,
Yeah.
because after that I got I was accepted to join the military. By that time my son was only 4 months old.
Sure.
It was 4 months old. It was such a difficult period, but my mom sat me down and said, you know what, we got you. You can go because you are young.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're a mom, it doesn't mean that, like how you put it,
Yeah.
like your dreams, your
Yes.
aspirations, you
Yes.
understand. So now you learned from your mistakes. So this is your second opportunity
Yeah.
in life. You're getting a second chance, and we're going to help you to
Yeah.
realize your dream.
Yeah.
So that's I can
Exactly.
really relate to that because that's exactly what happened in my life. So I left the 4-month-old with my mom, who
Yeah.
was like in her late 50s at the time. So at that period, a 50-year-old is thinking, I'm done.
Yeah, with kids. Very happy. Especially the 4 months. Wow.
And now she's changing diapers, she
Yeah.
doesn't sleep at night, she's trying to figure out how to milk a bottle. And
Yeah.
the last time she had a child was in 1991.
Oh my God.
Now it's 2010.
Yeah.
She needs to figure out what is a nebulizer.
Yeah.
Things that, but she saw through all of that
Yeah.
because she was just supporting me and providing me with that opportunity to realize my dreams because I was still young and she understood that I really need a second chance in life. Exactly. Yeah.
And you know, on the topic of second chances, you know, we look at you today, and like I said, I heard your testimony. Let's talk about that. You know, what impact or how impactful was the second chance that you got to the story? You know, you went from experiencing what felt like a huge failure,
Exactly.
but you had the structures in place and
Mm-hmm.
you were supported and you were given a second chance.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
what did you do with that?
Let me tell you honestly, that was the most excruciatingly painful period of my life.
So childbirth, no. Second chance, yes.
Stay away from it.
Disclaimer.
Stay away. No, look, it wasn't only painful psychologically because I mean I left the baby. As much as I was not ready to be a mom, but we had bonded with my son. You know, we had developed a bond. My mom helped me a lot to nurture that kind of bond. You understand?
Yeah.
And then suddenly this comes, and then I have to leave him. I had to go into an environment where everyone is young.
Yes.
The environment that I left at home, where everyone was just living their best lives, they're partying, their first years, they're attending frat classes, you know, that sort of thing. And then I was this, you know, I was othered
Yes.
most of the time because you couldn't do that because you have a child.
Yes.
I couldn't fit.
Yeah.
So now I go into an environment where now it's closed up and I'm surrounded by those kind of people.
Yeah.
Firstly, the kind of conversations that I start, no one can relate to those kind
No
of
one is a young
conversations.
mom.
No one is a young mom. I'm the only one. Besides that, it was also an element of my body was still weak.
Yeah.
And I'm undergoing military training,
Oh my
which
goodness,
was
brutal.
intense,
Oh my
which was
goodness.
intense.
Yeah.
6 months of my life. I remember this one time I was hospitalized during the training. My legs were swollen from my ankles up until my thighs. I couldn't walk. I remember one of the instructors coming next to my bed and then she sat down and then she had a resignation form in her hand. And she's like, you are not coping.
Wow.
You are not coping. Sign the resignation, resign, and then you'll try again the next year. She left the resignation
Oh
document
my
on the
goodness.
side of my bed, and then she said, I'll give you time to think about it.
Mm.
And at that moment, everyone is, you know, when you join the military, it is, a lot of people take pride in the fact that they're able to take it,
Yeah.
to take the intense training. You
Yeah.
know, a lot of people take pride in that they tell you going to run 20 kilometers in this, and then I made it. You understand?
Yeah.
So now you being that person who's not able to do that because of X, Y, and Z, and mind you, I couldn't
Just had a
share
baby.
to anyone that I just had a baby.
Wow.
I could
Oh,
not
gosh.
even disclose that.
Wow.
I couldn't. So people were like
What's wrong with
Yeah.
you? You know?
assuming a
Yeah.
whole lot of stuff, you
Mm.
know, and then it's something that I had to keep inside of me, which
Mm.
was another factor as well, that I couldn't even share what I was going through and the pain that I was going through. So she left me with that the resignation documents, and I had to sit down and reflect, and I just like, God,
Mm.
you brought me this
Yeah.
far. So
No.
take the wheel.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that you permit,
Yeah.
your will shall be done.
Yeah.
And then
And you're sitting in hospital with so
I'm
many things.
laying in hospital. I can't even put on flip flops
Oh
because
my
my feet
goodness.
were so swollen. I was so weak. And then I think it was 3 days later, I was discharged from the hospital. I went back to the base.
Okay.
When I got to the base, there was someone who was in charge of us. So he received us. So you understand, in the military, like, everyone is just aggressive because
Yeah.
they're doing their job.
Yeah.
Like, no one has
There's no time to
say,
cuddle
"How are
you."
you
No,
feeling?"
no.
and whatever. So the minute I got out of the ambulance and I was walking into the base with my overnight bag,
Yeah.
so I meet this instructor who was in charge of us. And then he starts drilling me up and down, making me run. Yeah, you've been resting, you've been sleeping there. You know, you understand, this is military training, we're not here to baby anyone.
Yeah.
So here I am, throwing my things on the ground, and then I'm drilling, I'm running up and down and whatever. But the strength that I felt
In
that
that
day,
moment. Wow.
it was the first time ever had I ever felt so much energy, so
Wow.
much drive behind me. And that was the moment where I'm like, I'm not going anywhere.
Wow.
I'm not going anywhere. So from that period, it was military training. I completed my basic training. Then I started working. So I was placed as the human resource clerk. I was working at HR. But you know, when you are destined for something,
Yeah.
like you feel it in your gut.
Yeah.
Wherever it is that you're placed. You know, I have this saying, it says, glow wherever you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whichever, even if it's
Absolutely.
a small dark
Yeah.
corner, glow through it. Even
Yeah.
if they give you a small desk and a
Yes.
broken chair,
Yes.
you glow through that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I was given a very small position. I was just the HR clerk, but I knew that it just does not
Yeah.
end here for me. So I went on HR courses. It was okay. And then one day, while I was at the HR course, I was unhappy. I knew something big is meant for me, so I was very unhappy.
Frustrated.
I was frustrated because I'm doing menial work.
Yeah.
you know, that
Yeah.
you
And
are-
you know that you're destined for far
No,
better than
man.
that.
So I get a phone call out of the blue.
Mm.
The person introduces himself and then he says, you know what? Your file is just sitting here in front of me and it's empty. I don't even know how you expect to get this bursary and you didn't even submit one document. I'm like, what? Who are you? Then
Yeah.
he introduced, no, I'm head of education training development in the department of
Yeah.
you know? And I'm like, okay, your file is here in front of us. We're busy consolidating a name list for people who are going to go to Cuba and study psychology. And your file is just sitting here empty, not even one document. How do you expect to go?
Oh my God.
I was like, wow,
Yeah.
God, this is you.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is you again.
Sounds about right.
I was like, I'm gonna be there in 20 minutes. Where are you?
Yeah.
So he gives me the location of where they are, their
Yeah.
offices. I'm like, 20 minutes, I'm gonna be there. Then I go and I ask for gate pass because we're on a course. So
Yes.
military premises are very strict.
Yeah.
They have their own rules. So I had to ask for permission to leave. So they asking me, what's wrong? What happened? I'm like, I have a family emergency. I'm gonna be back by the end of the day. So they released me. I wait there to see this guy. I get there. Here's my file.
Oh my
My
God.
first number is there. My initials and surname, and the file is empty. and I look at the corner, people's applications, complete files as thick as this.
Sure. And yours is empty.
Mine is empty, and they're calling me to tell me like, are you being serious? You wanna go and your
You've
file
got
is
nothing in
empty?
your file.
Where
A file you don't know about?
I don't
You
even
never even submitted.
know how the file got there. I kid you not. I always tell this story, and it still gives me goosebumps till this day because I do not know. That was God's grace upon my life.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
beautiful.
So the whole week I'm running up and down doing my medicals, what, my security clearance, da 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 da. By the end of the month, we left. Foreign country, 6 years of study.
Wow.
So you spent 6 years in Cuba.
I spent 6 years. So the first year it
Sure.
was for language, strictly
Okay.
language, because the course was presented in Spanish.
Okay.
So I'm also fluent in
Hey
Spanish.
now.
Hola.
Guys, Brokenness Meet Grace is going international. Gracias.
De nada, mi amor. So I'm even getting so emotional
Yeah.
because this was a pivotal moment.
Yeah.
in my life. And I can tell you now for free that was grace. That was
There's no
grace.
other
There's
way
no
to explain
explain
it. There's no other.
That
How do
was
you explain
grace.
it?
That was grace. So we went,
Sure.
studied 6 years, graduated cum laude. This for a student.
Oh my god.
That's amazing.
Absolutely amazing. But the gosh, guys, God has really come through for us.
Yeah.
So we came back to South Africa. And as normal foreign qualified students, there's a lot of red tape
Yeah.
that you need to go through.
Yeah.
First of all, you struggle with universities.
Yeah.
Like for an example, like you need to do your masters.
Mm.
Universities normally prioritize their own students.
Of course.
You
Of
understand
course.
over you. So that was the biggest worry that we had coming back, that okay, now how are we gonna do
Yeah.
this and whatever. And Miguel
Grace. That should be her new name.
currently studying with the University of Pretoria. I was accepted, the only person amongst 16 applicants.
Wow. To do your masters.
No, I'm doing my postgraduate
Okay,
diploma.
okay.
Yes.
And it's in psychology.
Exactly.
Can I just ask, was psychology ever a thought for you?
Definitely.
Was it?
I've always wanted to go.
You know, when I got into my first lecture of psychology, like I felt that angst that was in the inside of me
Yeah.
that I experienced when I was a clerk, that it just suddenly went away.
You were home.
And the impactful work that we did there healed each and every scar that was on the inside of me. I came back a completely healed person. A lot of people have their own personal experiences of being there, but for me, I was healed, I was redeemed, I was honestly healed and redeemed. So I'm currently doing my postgraduate diploma in public health at the University of Pretoria, and that also came as a shock to me because a lot of people had been applying to universities, and then they went up for different courses.
Yeah.
So even that for me came as a shock, like wow,
Yeah.
there is grace again revealing itself to me.
Yeah.
So
That is amazing.
It's been a journey.
And then you would think with the head start that she
Sure.
had, that your life would just, but here's God just making you rise.
And
Yeah,
I think that's such an important point.
Sure.
Everybody
Wow.
at some point will fail
Yeah.
at something. You will have an encounter, you will have an experience that redefines your life, that shapes it.
Yeah.
Your posture, I think, in that moment is everything.
Exactly.
God can show up. He wants to show up for anybody, but he cannot force himself onto anyone.
Exactly.
He cannot force his will.
Positioning
Yeah.
is everything.
So you need to be able to fail with grace.
Yes.
You know, you
And
need and
surrender.
humility. I think
Exactly.
I think in that situation you could have closed yourself up.
Yes.
The moment that opportunity came, already the fears that you had in your mind about, where you come from, how everything just went left.
Exactly.
You could have told yourself, where am I going? And then again to be stuck in a hospital bed and feel like I'm still failing, even at this.
But
You could have just given up.
I feel like that was the point where God was testing you. Even by having that woman present your resignation.
Exactly.
But are you going to take the easy way out?
Exactly.
Or are you going to keep moving?
Or you're gonna
Exactly.
keep moving.
And you passed
that's
it.
Exactly.
and that's the I love that so much because that's the crux of failure.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Accepting defeat and
Yeah.
accepting failure is the easy way out.
Sure.
It's a lot harder for us
endure.
to get up.
To endure.
It's a lot harder for us to actually move forward,
Mhm.
keep our heads up, learn from
Exactly.
it, grow from it. That's the hard thing to do.
I can't
It's-
even get
And
over
it's
it.
loving
Yourself
yourself
in the
throughout
process.
the whole process.
Yeah.
Loving yourself and believing in yourself. That's why I kept on saying that
Yeah.
my
Sure.
greatest failure was not believing in myself, because I realized that that's how I failed myself, because loving yourself at that moment where everybody else is looking at you through these spectacles, and you believing in yourself that despite public opinion, what people think about me and what I'm going through and their opinions.
And remember, it may be broken, but it's in the hands of the potter. Bye guys. Catch you next time.